This is the hinge to my cucumber trellis, and right here it broke and the two pieces came apart. I've plastic welded it back together with some reinforcements uh, along through here, and we're going to reinstall it here on the top of the cucumber trellis.
Just a few more weary days and then I'll fly away to a land where joy shall never end. I'll fly away. Let's take it home. I'll fly away, oh glory. I'll fly away.
Hello, everybody, and we're going to talk about my spring gardening of 2023. All right, this is down in the basement where I'm starting my plants. Right here we have some petunias, some coluses. I've got a couple of small cabbages right here and here, a small lettuce, Here we have some ultra cool watermelon. I've got a plum tree seed I'm trying to start here, and a peach tree seed. Those are from the peach and plum from the grocery store. So we'll see if those will grow. Ranculus, I've got here a couple of these growing down here. They're bulbs, but I wanted to start these indoor. We have some outside also. I've got a Kanya here, but the Kana hasn't sprouted, so I don't know if we're gonna get anything there or not this year. I've got some outside too that haven't sprouted either. This was a wonderful looking tray of cucumbers. I put it outside and in the greenhouse, and I think the cold weather got to it because they've all kind of died other than this one over here, a small one back here, but I'm seeing if I can bring them back. They're not quite dead yet, but it's looking pretty rough. Right here we have some more watermelon. We have Sugar Baby and Crimson Sweet there. We've got some different tomato varieties back here, cherry and beefsteak, and a big boy hybrid back here that are growing. I have some red lunchbox peppers here. Nothing's come up in that cup yet. I've got a bell pepper here that's pretty small, and I've got one jalapeno pepper right there coming up that's pretty small. Here I've got some tomatillos for salsa that are coming up here. I've got a couple little peppers that are just sprouting here. Right here, and then on the other side here, little pepper sprouting. Nothing back here yet. And a pepper right there coming up. Those are jalapenos and pepperoncini peppers that are coming up there. Right up here, I've got my grow light, but I've got it turned off because it makes a weird color on the video here. All through here in the front, these are all Okinawan purple sweet potato slips. And a slip is just a vine that grows off of the potato with some roots, and you break that off and you put it down in, and these roots will grow, and then once I plant them outside, those roots will make the potatoes, the tubers off of that. And more sweet potatoes. Some of them are regular sweet potatoes. Some of them are Okinawan purple sweet potatoes. Back here in the back are the potatoes I'm growing the slips off of. Right here. This is an Okinawan sweet potato. This is the Okinawan sweet potato has a purple flesh inside. Sometimes it's called a purple sweet potato. This is a regular white Japanese sweet potato, and another Okinawan purple sweet potato here that I'm growing the slips off of. And down over here, some more plants in those. Those are Okinawan sweet potatoes, and then some more sweet potatoes there. I've got some Shirley poppies here. They didn't do so well. I took them outside too, maybe a little too early, and these were all full. All these cells were full of flowers, but most of them had died off. So I'm trying to nurse this back to health. And then this is doing pretty good here. This is some Sweet William flowers. Um, so we'll have to see how those come up and what they look like. I'll have to try to remember to take some video of all the flowers once they bloom. And then over here we have more. We got some more watermelon here, different varieties. I've got that's cantaloupe, so I've got some cantaloupe in there. Let's see what we got here. This is a Congo. I think I've got Congo watermelons in here. So. Upstairs in the window, I've got some cilantro started in this pot here. This here is nothing that I started. This was a small little cactus that I got at the Gander Memorial this year, since my buddy's sister couldn't make it, or none of her family made it. They asked if I would pick up anything. So that's what I did. Picked that up, brought it home. She said I could just keep it to remember Philip, her brother. So I've got this cactus going here, and it's doing pretty good. It was maybe about that big, so it's spread out here a little bit. Then right here, I've got some different tomato plants. We have no idea what they are. Came in a pack. They're just all big hybrid tomatoes, and once they grow and we see what the tomato looks like, we'll be able to tell a little bit, and then we'll get the seeds out of one or two of those tomatoes that we harvest this year, and we'll write on the pack what type of tomato that is, so next year when we grow, we'll know exactly what it is. But they're coming up pretty good. All right, let's take a look in the greenhouse. All right, right down here we have some horseradish growing. Here is some zinnias that have come up that were potted last year. I've got some watermelon here. These are tops I've cut off of pineapple. These are tops I've cut off of pineapple from the store. These two here have died out. I didn't take care of those good, but I've planted two new ones, and they're doing all right so far. So if I can just get them to root and start some new growth, I should be able to grow some pineapple. It takes about 2 years to grow a pineapple, so we'll see how that goes. And I'm not sure, being in Ohio here, that may be a little issue. Right here, we have, I always forget what we've got here. More zinnias and some marigolds that are coming up over on this side. These are the zinnias here. All right, let's see here. Right here, these are some pepper plants from last year, these brown things, so I don't know if they'll come back or not. You can usually use pepper plants for up to 3 years as long as you store them correctly over winter. So if I get any buds on these, then great, but they're not looking good so far. Some green onion. That's just the bottom of green onions from the store where I've cut off the bottoms. I planted the bottoms in there and grew some green onion back. These are a couple of regular onions that started to sprout. Some yellow onion. I just planted those in there. I won't be able to get an onion off of that, but I might be able to get some onion seeds from those plants. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with those, but I've got them in there for right now. These are onions I started from seed. These are yellow onions here, yellow sweet onions, and over on this side are white onions. These are very cheap plants that were basically dead at the store. Let's see if I can get my camera going on in the right direction here. And we brought them home and just put some water. They hadn't been watering them, so they were dying out. They've already bloomed. They're tulips and such. So those kind of bulb plants. So what we'll do here is I'll just probably leave them in the greenhouse here over the summertime. They'll die back. The green foliage will die back. And then in the fall, we'll plant the bulbs, and hopefully in this next spring we'll get some nice flowers off of that. I've got some plants I got some seeds in these hanging plants here. They haven't sprouted yet. So hopefully we'll get some flowers out of that. Got some white cabbage and some lettuce growing over here. Got some red cabbage here that's going to get put in the ground. And here that aren't doing very good are some more zinnias. They just don't do very good. I bought these cardboard things thinking they'd be great. Plant them and you just tear them apart and plant them in the ground where you want, but they actually don't do very good. I haven't had much success, so I probably won't be using those anymore. Let's go out to the garden. All right, so taking a look at the garden here, but let's go up here to this tree a minute. Cucumber trellis over here. And we've got some red cabbage here. In the back with the green, we've got some white cabbage and some lettuce over here on the other side. This first set of T-posts here, I'll run some string between those, and that will be for the peppers to support the pepper plants. The fencing, the cattle fencing in the back, we'll alternate plants on each side of that, and that will be for the tomato plants. Let's go in here and see how the red cabbage is doing. And I've got some onions planted back behind there. I don't know if you can see the little stems coming up. Gotta get my hothouse opened up here. I've got a couple cabbages down in here. Right here I got some pool noodles. I need to split those, and they're going to go right on the end of the cattle panel here. On the ends of the cattle panel, got these little sharp pieces of wire sticking out. So I'm going to zip tie those on there so no one gets cut. Moving around here in the garden. And there's how the lettuce is looking. And back here to the white cabbage. And there you go. That's how the cabbage is looking. And then right here, of course, I've got some onions. I can't see them very good, maybe. I don't know. It's hard to tell because the sun on the back of the camera here, but that's the garden so far. Let's go out here and look in the yard. All right, the raised bed here in the back. Not much to see here yet. I have planted about a dozen strawberry plants here, strawberry roots. I'm hoping they come up, but there's one over here. Here's one. Here's some from last year. And I've got another one over here that's coming up. Other than that, I've got some lettuce from last year that's sprouted back up here. And that's about all that's going on right here. We had some passion flowers that we bought, and that'll make passion fruit. We're going to grow that on the trellis here this year. But I don't think they're going to get big enough if I can even get them to sprout. They're a really hard plant to start. They keep sprouting on me, but then they die out right away. So we'll see how that goes. Let's go out to the front yard. All right, this little carport looking thing, here's a metal frame that Gina's dad gave me. We'll go there and take a look at it. I've just put a tarp over top of it here. So you can see just the metal framing. It's just 4 poles going up and over each way. But I've taken some wood I had down here, some old barn wood, and I've built this little base for it. I made this little carport here, just a little shelter. All right. Lawnmowers, I've got 3 lawnmowers. I've had to service those batteries and do some other things, get all those running for the summertime. Still got some work to do on those. Like the Toro here needs a new belt put on it, so I'll get a new belt put on that. Planted this rose bush. It's called a peach swirl. That's going to be the color of the rose. So when those bloom, I'll have to get some photos of that and send them out. I think especially Linda will enjoy those. I know you like those pretty flowers. Planted that. It seems to be doing pretty good. It was just a bare root rose and planted it, and now it's come up here. Here I've got some strawberries. Those strawberries in the back are June-bearing strawberries. These are ever-bearing, so these will give me strawberries at least twice a year, spring and fall. Sometimes I'll get some strawberries in the summer as well. The June-bearing, of course, should bear strawberries about June if they come up. These already have strawberries on them. Right here. Strawberry. Some little strawberries coming up here. And over there. All right, this is where I planted some tulips and some other bulbs for some other flowers here, and I had to cover it because like the very next day or 2 days later, the squirrels started eating all the bulbs. So it's still covered. It needs to be taken off and some maintenance done to it. But I don't want to take it off just yet. I want to give the bulbs another year or so to develop. But I did get some blooms this year. Got a yellow tulip here. Back in the back, I've got a red one. It was red with yellow on the inside, but it's starting to go. And I don't know if you can see the little bee in there. He's enjoying the... Oh, he flew over. He's going over to the yellow one here. I'll zoom back out. I had a purple one over here, but it's fallen over, and I had another one somewhere here, and it's obviously fallen over too because I don't see it right now. But hopefully some of those will come up. We'll get that taken care of. In this beautiful tree right here is where the wasp nest was. You can see where I've cut the branch off. That's where the wasp was that got me. We'll see the wasp nest here in a minute because I still have it. All right, right here is a red raspberry that I planted. Just a bare root again. It's one of these cheap from Sam's Club or Walmart or something. You can see it's got a little sprout coming right there. So hopefully we'll get some red raspberries. Probably not this year, but here in a couple of years. It's right off of my grape trellises. And right down here is a golden raspberry here. So hopefully that'll come up. I don't have any greenery coming off of that yet, but these are pretty hardy plants, so hopefully I'll get something off of that. Over to the grape trellis. I've got one white or green grape root coming up there, vine, and this is my healthiest one right here. And it is starting to bloom. All these are the starts of the bloom on here. So it's starting to bloom on the white grape and on my purple or red grapes also. These are Concord grape down through here. Got 2 vines on this one as well. Once these get going good, I'll take some cuttings off and I'll try to make some more to fill in here where I've lost some plants. But those are starting to bloom. I forgot to take this box off over here. This is a male kiwi plant that I just planted here a few weeks ago. The cold weather got it and most of the greenery has died off, but it still is growing. There's some greenery right here and down here. just covering at night right now for these last couple cold spells. Try to keep it alive. Right here is my wasp nest. So you can kind of see, I guess. I'm trying to get my hand up in here so you can kind of see how big it is. So it's about the size of a soccer ball, maybe a little bit smaller. And I have filled it with foam so nothing can get back inside of it, and I've shellacked it on the outside. I put a spar urethane on it to try to help weather it, and then I put this roof over it. And the reason I've done that is they're supposed to repel carpenter bees. And if you can see here, hole, I don't know, this is not a good one, I guess. Let's go over on this side. Hole here, hole here. So they start trying to go into this pine, even though it's treated. They still want to go into it and make holes, so I'm trying to use that to see if I can repel them. This was doing great. I mean, I had a lot of greenery on this, but you can see the cold spell that came through here has just killed all the vegetation off. But, you know, it's trying to find my finger here. Right there. You can see it's still got some growth coming on it here. So they're not dead yet. They're hanging in there. This right here was a being cherry tree that I planted last year, but it is apparently dead. But I bought some cherry trees to replace it here. So I've got to get that replaced here this next week probably. That's when I'll get it done. These are some trees I had covered because of the cold weather that I just planted. They were bare root trees that I ordered through the mail, so they basically just come in a cardboard box, no dirt or anything like that. The tops of them are pruned and whatnot so they can fit into a box. But I planted those. This one here is a Rainier cherry tree. It's looking pretty healthy. I have this cover on here for another night or two, and then it'll be coming off probably. I might leave it on. I think there's supposed to be one more cold night next week, so I might leave it on there. Down here, planted at the same time. I think it was maybe 3 weeks ago I planted all those. And this one here is a plum cot, plum apricot hybrid. And it also, it didn't have much greenery on it at all, but you know, it's still got some leaves going here. The cold did hit it, and I see some bug activity here on the leaves as well. But it does have some new sprouts coming out on it here. Some new greenery that's popping out. So hopefully that will take off and it will do great. These are all trees that I planted last year. This is an Elbert, I think Elbert or Alberta peach tree right here. So it's still doing okay. I was worried about it dying off, but it's not as healthy as the other trees, but it's still doing all right. So hopefully maybe in another year or two, we'll get some peaches off of that. And this here is a Santa Rosa plum tree. So it won't produce without another plum, but my plum cot tree should cross-pollinate, so it should help it produce some plums. If not, if I don't get any plum production off of it in the next year or two, then I'll probably have to get another plum tree. This next tree here is a Honeycrisp apple. So once it starts getting some cross-pollination from my other apple trees, it does have good bee activity on it right now. So once I get some cross-pollination, hopefully I'll get some apples off of it, maybe this year or the next year. This is a peach tree, a Kiefer peach tree. I haven't ever had a Kiefer pear tree, Kiefer pear tree. Never had a Kiefer pear, but they say they're great for canning or baking. But some people also say they're a really good pear to eat fresh, so can't wait to get some pears on that just so we can try them. If they're not good fresh, we'll use them for doing some canned pears. I don't know why I want to keep calling them peaches. And then my last tree here I planted a couple weeks ago is a D'Agneau. d'Agneau pear tree, which just means a pear tree from Agneau, France. So I know my French is awful there, but it's doing well too. And all the flowers had died off of it from the cold, but I can see right here it's got some flowers on it. So hopefully between the Kiefer pear and this pear tree, the bees will get back and forth and they'll cross-pollinate, and we'll get some good pear production this year. That's my hope. All right, this has nothing to do with my planting this year, but about 3 years ago, I planted some apple seeds. Just apples from the store. I took the seeds out of them, planted them, and I put them in the ground here 2 or 3 years ago. And you can see I got little apple trees coming up here. I've got 7 in total that I planted, and they've all been doing well all down through here. So those should cross-pollinate with my Honeycrisp apple tree once I get some blooms on them. And then I should get me some nice Honeycrisp apples. Now, when you plant from seed with an apple, pear, or whatnot, you're not going to get that variety. You have to plant from a graft off the Honeycrisp apple tree or Granny Smith. But when you're planting from seed, you just get whatever you get. It may be a delicious tasting apple. It may be an inedible apple. It may be a crab apple. So you just don't know what you're going to get off of that, but it's an interesting experiment. And I may make my own apple that's fantastic that no one else has. So I'm looking forward to them getting big enough that we can get some apples off of them. Thomas has decided to come out and say hey to everybody. All right, I always worry about the big owls getting them. They were out today doing their freaky again. So we'll have to see how that goes. We might have a bunch of little baby owls around. And finally, here are some cherry trees that I need to get in the ground after the cold spell goes. So probably next week sometime. I think all the nighttime cold weather will be done with. Right now I store them in the garage at night and I bring them out during the daytime. So I needed a cherry tree to replace that Bing cherry tree. And I was going to get either a Bing or a Black Tatarian cherry tree. But I was worried because that Bing died off. I was worried that if I got another one, it might die too. And any of them could die, of course. But I was reading that a lot of Ohio growers do great with these Black Tatarian trees. So that's what I got. Went to Lowe's. I was hunting around. It was hard to find trees this year at Lowe's or Walmart. I usually get trees at Walmart, but I went to Lowe's and got this tree here, Black Tatarian cherry. And I was happy about that. It will cross-pollinate with my Rainier cherry tree that I got through the mail. You can never find Rainier cherry trees around here. So can't even find Rainier cherries a lot of time in the supermarket. I've been looking for them for like the last 1.5 years or 2 years and haven't seen any. But I love the Rainier cherry. If you haven't tried it, if you see it at your grocery, they're a little bit expensive, but I'd give it a try. And right next to the Black Tatarian was this nice, healthy Rainier cherry tree. I couldn't believe it after I'd already got that one through the mail. And I don't really need it, but I went ahead and bought it anyways because I've been looking for a Rainier cherry tree for a couple years, and it was there, so I got it. I didn't want to have to order one through the mail because I wasn't sure if it would live. But hopefully we'll get this Black Tatarian growing good and the Rainier cherry, and we'll get some good cherry production.